my name is Lynn. Welcome to Derby Notes, and today we're going to be finishing the nightstand dresser, which I recently put on my main channel, Derby Orver. So there were a couple of parts to finishing this dresser. First, I started with putting on a coat of water-based polyurethane, and that's just to kind of give it some protection. I use flat paint when I paint, so I like to put on some kind of clear coat on top of that. And I used water-based polyurethane because I didn't want to add a yellowing tone, and sometimes oil-based can add a little bit of a yellow tone to it. So to spray here, I use this Finish Max Pro sprayer from HomeRight. This is an HVLP spray gun that is like a canister system. It's actually quite nice to work with and quite powerful. You basically turn this on and you put your finish in here and then you just spray. You can use this system for a lot of different finishes, so I used it for the water-based polyurethane and it worked really nice. So I started with mixing some water with the polyurethane to make it spray easier. And I used about a quarter cup of water to 1 quart of polyurethane. Then I was ready to paint. So I just assembled the spray gun and then I turned on the canister and started spraying. Now, one nice thing about this model is that it's quite light to hold because the motor isn't in the gun, it's in the canister. It's also more powerful than the model I used to spray the paint with. Again, it's important to not put too thick of a coat on because then you'll get drips. So preferably do multiple thinner coats than one thick one. And then I sprayed the drawers on the outdoor workbench here because I didn't feel like moving the base. And this worked out good. Cleaning can sometimes be really annoying with these guns, but this is pretty simple. You just spray some soapy water out of the gun and clean everything with some soap and water again, assuming you're using a water-based paint or water-based polyurethane like I did here. One thing you have to get used to with the sprayer is that as soon as you turn the canister on, it starts blowing air out right away. Whereas normally it only starts blowing air out when you have to press it in, and then when you press it all the way in, that's when it actually sprays out the finish. Whereas here it sprays air out all the time. But it turns out that's actually a pretty nice feature because then it means that it's constantly cleaning the gun so the paint doesn't get clogged up in here. And that's often a problem with HVLP spray guns, that especially if you spray during a longer period of time, that the gun gets clogged rather quickly, and that's avoided here with just having the air come through all the time. So normally when you use HVLP spray guns, it's a good idea to start with half depressing it so the air comes out, you push it all the way in, and then you go up slowly, and then you have to press it out so that the air comes out at the top before you go down on your next turn here. But you don't have to think about that with the sprayer, so that's kind of nice. Okay, let me just move this down. Okay, now this. Now for the top, let's see here. What my goal with this was to really create a pretty nice high gloss finish here. Now the reason why I didn't use the sprayer to spray the polyurethane on was that it's easier to put more finish on when you use a brush. And I just really do like brushing a surface like this on, especially when it's a relatively small piece like this, because then it doesn't really feel like it's worth it to do the spraying over and over again, because it is a bit too clean as well. So then you just have the one brush to clean, so that's a little easier. And even during the in-between coats, I don't even clean the brush, I just let it soak in mineral spirits and it's ready to use the next time I want to do a coat. Now, one of the things that people have issues with when they try to accomplish a finish like this is that they put a thick coat on and then they don't give it enough time to cure. Because it does take a fair amount of time to cure, like 12 hours or so. And I make sure I sand in between each coat with 220. Before I put on the next coat. One good way to know if it hasn't cured enough is if you're getting any gumminess in your sandpaper in this in-between sanding, then you know it needs more time to fully cure before you can proceed with that step. So I put 5 coats on here, and you need to give that some time to fully cure. And especially since now the final step here is where I'm going to be sanding this with steel wool and soapy water. And that is to really create an even glossier, smoother finish. What you really are doing is you're making a lot of little tiny scratches, which is increasing the gloss level. Now there are a lot of different ways to do this, and especially if you want to create an even higher gloss level, then there are even more steps that you can take. But for this, I think this is going to be fine, and it's just going to make it feel you know, a little smoother and just look a little glossier even by doing this final step. So I got some warm soapy water in here, and that's all it is. And this is just 4-0 steel wool, and I'm just going to lightly, you know, sand it. And what I'm going in this direction because I'm just sanding the polyurethane now. I'm not sanding the grain direction or anything, because there's just so many coats of polyurethane here now. So there's this pretty thick film that has built up. Okay, and now I'm just gonna wipe this off. Yeah, you can really do this numerous times if you want to, but I'm not going to do it more than twice. And if you do it too many times, you might take off, you know, more than you really want to. Now all that's left for me to do here is to secure the top, and then I'm done with this piece. So a couple of you guys were wondering how well the drawer sliders worked. And they work pretty nice. I'm going to go in and out here. And yeah, I'll show you how that's constructed here. So I basically I built rails that on the side here that are connected with pocket screws, and they are level with the front rail here. So it's all nice and flat, and then the drawer just slides in and out on that. It's very simple. And also for edge banding, to create a bit of a kind of finished edge here, I used some redwood that I cut up in thin strips. And yeah, here's a piece of that. So I just cut up thin pieces of redwood, and this is a great wood to use because it's like cedar. It you know, it smells nice, and it can handle moisture and things like that. And I also thought it added a nice bit of contrast against the white, and I just used hot glue to secure these on here. So very simple, and just finishes it off a little bit. Now, the reason why it slides in so nicely in and out is because I just put on some wax. And I put wax on the rails as well as on the bottom. So to apply this, I use 4-0 steel wool and this beeswax mix, which I made, which has 1 part beeswax and 3 parts mineral oil. Now the key here is mineral oil. You don't want to use an oil that cures, such as linseed oil or tung oil. Mineral oil, you can also use mineral spirits. It doesn't cure, so it stays soft, and that's what you want to do with drawer sliders like this. And if it's, you know, easy enough, you can reapply it every so often to keep it that way, you know, every couple months or once a year or whatever. And that just makes a very big difference in how smoothly the drawer slides. The other thing I did was to put little stoppers in the back here, and that's just to make sure that the drawer doesn't tilt far all the way. It just provides a little bit of a barrier so it doesn't drop too far down. So it works quite nicely like that. So that was just some information on how I finish the nightstand here. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask in the comments section. And thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in a couple of days. Bye!